Social structure is a centrally important topic within the study of sociology, and it's one that requires thorough explanation because it's not something that we can easily or regularly see or touch or observe. It's certainly there, and it is powerful enough to the extent that it shapes what is available to us. Where we live, the types of schools we attend, the types of people who attend those schools, the job opportunities that are available to us or not available to us, the healthcare options that we have. These are all related to and really a function of or an outcome of social structure. We define social structure as enduring and regular social arrangements, or to go a little deeper, patterned arrangements and hierarchies that influence and limit the choices and opportunities available to individuals. Once again, social structure is abstract. It's not something that we can, taste or smell or touch, but it is fairly all encompassing. Social structure includes everything from organizations and institutions to things such as statuses, roles, groups, and social networks. We're going to talk about all of these here, all of these different elements of social structure. You'll see the various things that social structure does, the various functions of social structure. For one, it coordinates human activities. Social structure shapes human schedules. It shapes what types of recreational activities people can do, what types of economic or occupational opportunities are available or not available to someone. Social structure shapes relationships. We'll see that when we talk about statuses, roles, and social networks. Social structure provides opportunities. It also provides identities. We'll talk about that. And then lastly, social structure imposes barriers and makes accessing certain resources difficult. So on the one hand, social structure provides opportunities to people, but on the other hand, it also makes accessing opportunities and resources difficult for some people. Social structure is a basis for social inequality. The most vivid example of social structure is our social institutions. Like I said, social structure can be wide ranging, but when we talk about social structure, it helps to first talk about institutions. Institutions are social arrangements created and sustained, or you could say created and maintained, with the purpose of coordinating social activity to meet certain needs. Institutions exist to, in theory anyway, they don't always do a great job. Some institutions do a much better job than others do, but institutions exist in theory to meet some type of human need. So when we think about our core institutions, institutions such as the family or the education system, the economy or the workforce, the healthcare system, the government, organized religion, all of these institutions exist to meet certain needs that human beings have. Just looking at that list of core institutions, you can probably think of the different human needs that they fulfill. The institution of organized religion. Well, for what needs does it fulfill? Well, for one, it provides a community for people of similar beliefs. People develop friendships within their religious community. They develop sources of social support. And then additionally, organized religion fulfills the human need of providing insight or maybe even answers to questions that are very difficult to find answers to throughout one's life. What is the purpose of life? What happens when someone dies? Religion offers explanations to these really, difficult and weighty questions. The education, we can think of what social needs the education system fulfills. For one, it provides younger generations with skills that they will need both in adulthood and then to be, productive members of society. It also instills values in people, and senses of accountability and responsibility, how to get along with others. Another need that education fills is it essentially provides childcare. Parents are able to work and not pay for childcare when their children are off at school. So all of these institutions fulfill certain human needs. Now, again, some institutions function better than others do. We can think of families who do a much better job of providing, a loving, um, you know, socially supportive, emotionally supportive, economically supportive environment for children than other families do. We can think of certain hospitals or healthcare clinics that provide better care than others do. But institutions just, in theory, exist to fulfill, various human needs. Some different properties or characteristics of institutions. Well, for one, they all have a history. We can look back to their origins and see how they have continuously changed or evolved over time. Institutions are not static. They change based, cultural changes shape institutions. Governmental policy can lead to changes in institutions, and just the personnel who are involved in institutions can change institutions. A new principal at a high school, a new president, is going to have an effect on the federal government. So a number of things can change institutions or lead to changes in institutions. Another property, and we've kind of already talked about this, but it's definitely worth reiterating, institutions allocate resources in unequal ways. Valued resources in society, things like, wealth or job opportunities, access to housing and affordable health care. Some people have much more access to these than others do. That is institutions are largely responsible for that. Institutions can allocate different statuses. Allocate means to give out or distribute. Think about the judicial system. Our courts, most certainly an institution. They can they can confer or allocate statuses of privilege or disadvantage. A judge or a jury can find someone guilty and then bestow the label of felon. Someone can be a convicted felon. That is a disadvantaging status. Will make it hard to, will make it more difficult to get a job. You might not be able to rent an apartment or perhaps buy a home in certain areas or, within certain proximities of schools, for example. So convicted felon can be a disadvantaging status. But if in a civil case, a judge or a jury might find a plaintiff worthy of damages. You're a plaintiff, you sue, and the court grants you damages, you can get a lot of money in civil cases. So courts give disadvantaging statuses. They also give privileged statuses. Institutions do the same thing. Think about in the medical field, a healthcare clinic or a hospital. They can, via their diagnoses, if you're diagnosed with cancer or cirrhosis of the liver or countless elements, these are statuses that are going to have a certainly at the very least a encumbering or you know an encumbering or a challenging effect on your life. They're going to have the effect of bringing more challenges and disadvantages in your life. But then within a healthcare clinic or a hospital, we're going to see doctors, nurses, various medical researchers, other medical professionals, and these are privileged statuses. These are statuses that many younger people or people in college or certainly medical school aspire to hold themselves. They want to be doctors or a certain type of medical researcher or nurse. So within institutions, we have different statuses. Some are privileged and provide a certain sense of prestige and opportunity, and then we have disadvantaged statuses that make one's life more difficult. Another property of institutions is that they promote ideologies that legitimate their existence and growth. Let me explain what I mean by that. An ideology is a system of related beliefs about something. So when we say institutions promote ideologies that legitimate their existence and growth, we're saying that institutions provide a set of ideas or a set of beliefs that make that institution seem important and make that institution seem worthy of being continued into the future and growing into the future. Let me give you an example of this. Let's look at an institution such as a police department. If crime is going up in a city, the police department is probably going to ask, they're probably going to communicate with the mayor and be in touch with their representatives at the state level to get more funding, right? They want more funding from the state because they need maybe they need to hire more officers. Maybe they need better equipment, more surveillance cameras, gunshot sensors, on certain corners or certain areas of the city, more money for a witness protection program, so on and so forth. So crime goes up. The police department is going to promote ideas that say, what, we need more resources. We need, our budget needs to grow. We need more resources to fight crime. Um, Suppose this police department gets more resources, and within 1 year, within 2 years, crime goes down a little bit. Um, is the police department going to tell elected officials that, okay, we did our job, you can have this extra money back, this money we asked for last year or 2 years ago, you can have this money back? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to say, okay, we've made an impact on reducing crime. If we lose this funding, we're at risk of seeing crime increase again. Maybe we need more funding to continue to make an impact, to continue to keep our residents safe. So when we say institutions promote ideologies that legitimate their existence and growth, institutions need to give the public reasons for their importance, and so why they can continue to receive support, both support in terms of the opinions of the public and support in terms of monetary resources.